Good morning, everyone. I want to introduce you to my good friend, Rick Scharf. Hi, Rick.
Good morning, Dave.
Hey, thanks for coming over here. And go ahead.
Well, thank you for getting me up early on a Saturday morning. That's a rare thing.
Yeah, he's probably been up, what, a couple hours already? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And thank you, Chip and Marcy. You can hear the clock in the background here. But anyway, one of my favorite things is just to visit with a good friend. We've known each other quite a few years.
About 15 years,
Yeah,
Dave.
seen you through a couple of different career paths during that time. And you do good at everything. But, you know, one of the things I really think that makes us happy is accomplishment, but also relationships. And I look at you as one of my best friends. And I think that's a really important thing, because if you choose your friends, you're choosing your future. And I just really admire you. Could you introduce yourself a little bit and where you came from? I think you got a fascinating story, how little moments in your life changed everything. You started out in Canada and wanted some different things. And yeah, so tell us that story.
Well, I'll make it quick. You know, I grew up, I survived an orphanage and 33 foster homes. But I always had this thing that I would be okay, that I would survive. I was going to be just fine. But as a small boy, I knew from probably the age 8 that I would live in the United States. And so when I became expired from foster care and they kicked me out on my own, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And it didn't take me long to figure out how to get to the United States. I came here with a suitcase and $100.
Tell us about that road trip that was actually to here in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother story, Dave. But
that's a fun one, though.
Yeah, I came. My first trip was to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and came down here, and I thought, wow, I'm in the tropics. Where I grew up, I thought a dandelion was a tropical plant. And I came here and everything's growing and there's flowers. And anyway, long story short, I met a girl at a gas station and went back to Canada. We wrote back and forth. Eventually, I figured out a way to get here to go to school. But I was broke. I had nothing. Worked as a janitor through school. Then got out, got accepted. I studied finance. I got my first job as a financial auditor in Hawaii.
It's a rough place.
Yeah. And life has been good ever since. So I've had many career opportunities, never really had to look for a job. People just kept calling me, recruiting me. I ended up as a senior executive for a large company. We built 500 restaurants in 6 years across the United States.
How old were you at that time? You were very old.
I was 28. Yeah. So, and they taught me business. They taught me how to focus. I had great coaches, great mentors, a visionary leader that brought great people in to coach and mentor. I had the pleasure of being coached by John Wooden as a business coach. Totally inspirational, but tons of people that he would bring in. Harold Janine, the top executive in the entire world, head of AT&T, was a coach and mentor. So that was the foundation of me learning how to be a good business person and how to overcome adversity, as we all experience. But anyway, yeah, that was the foundation. And then I decided I didn't want to work for people, that I wasn't manageable and wasn't psychologically hireable. So I went out on my own and got some hard knocks, but made a lot of money and still enjoy it today. Being my own boss is probably the most exciting thing, and being able to figure it out and carve a niche in the world, in spite of my background. So, yeah.
And a lot of times it might be because of your background, because so many people that come to America, a very high percentage of them are successful compared to those who are just raised here. It seems familiarity breeds contempt. And if you don't have it, it gives you an appreciation. And so that's a good point.
Yeah, I fell in love with the Constitution. I fell in love with this idea of freedom, that you can be, do, have anything you want in this country. And where I grew up, people were dependent on the government. There was always this, the government will fix things. People will tell you what to do, just follow the party line.
Mhm.
And that just didn't feel right. When I got here, it was like, I can do anything, I can be anything, get out of my way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always woke up with a passion of, how do I do this? And even with my regular jobs, I had side hustles.
Mhm.
I've never not had a side hustle, ever.
Mhm.
So
I like that autonomy, freedom, the ability to direct one's own life. In fact, psychologists and studies indicate, and I think just in our own hearts, as we live each day of our life, that our freedom to direct our own lives is in direct proportion to even our psychological health, let alone happiness. Freedom is a wonderful blessing, and working your own business that gives you opportunity, also responsibility, but embrace it, right?
yeah, and sometimes it's very scary to get out of the nest, and now you're on your own and you kind of figure stuff out. And that's when you really find out who you are and what you're made of.
Mhm.
And I just always look to other people and I go, man, if they can do it, I need to figure it out. That's when I met Dave Johnson and I said, I want to be like Dave.
Oh, golly.
Good looking, funny, witty, wealthy. I said, there's my mentor. So, but I always wanted to be coached and mentored and find good people. And I found out that even the best athletes, the best people in the world, have a coach. They have somebody that's mentoring, coaching them. Tiger Woods had a putting coach. He had a driving coach. Tom Brady has a quarterback coach. I mean, so I said, one thing I learned from a boss was, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're ripe.
Mhm.
So always be green and always be
growing.
learning, and always surround yourself with great people. And that's kind of how I navigate my life, is I want to be around people that inspire me, lift me, motivate me, and teach me. So yeah, I'm always trying to learn. I'm always reading. I'm always listening. How do I get better and get up excited about a new day? So yeah.
That's powerful. Who you hang around with, the best experience is someone else's experience. And if you can learn from the best, that's huge. And another way to learn is books. And a few years ago, you gave me this very book. And this is one of those big books, a game changer book. Could you comment on this a little bit, and who wrote it? And I think you met him too.
Right. So Gary Keller is the CEO and founder of Keller Williams Real Estate. That's what I do. But Gary wrote this book called The One Thing. And it's really about, sometimes life is drinking out of a fire hydrant. And we need to take a step back and just focus on a few things and get really, really good at maybe 2 or 3 things, but he narrows it down to one.
Mhm.
Find your one thing that you're passionate about and focus on it,
Mhm.
and forget all the other stuff. So like golf, football, or sports or business, stay focused. And sometimes we're all like, squirrel. That's me. And so I have to stay in my lane and stay focused, but get really good at one thing.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful way to think about your life, I think.
Yeah, it comments right at the very beginning, this proverb that the fox that sees two rabbits, if you chase both of them, you'll get neither. And so that's a big deal.
Right. And so for us in our business, we stay focused, we stay in our lane, and it's what we do. But I still have a side hustle because that's how I'm wired to do stuff, but I still stay focused on the main thing. So he talks about find the main thing in your life, something you're passionate about, and focus on it. And then if you're done with it, find something else.
Yeah, it's just really huge. In fact, I should have marked this so I could open it up someplace, but because he says it so well. I'm probably making a mistake trying to find it, but yeah, there's so many good things, but essentially the whole idea is just focus, find that thing, and then do it again and again. Right at first, it feels linear, but you keep doing it and doing it. It starts compounding, becoming exponential, and just really powerful stuff. It talks about that domino where the physics student discovered that not only one domino affects another, and of course the famous domino effect, but he found that consistently one domino could actually knock over another domino that was 1.5 times bigger. And then he started doing a progression and actually demonstrated that. And then mathematically just going through that, finding that I think the one domino, if you went 1.5 times bigger, by the time it was 27 dominoes, it'd be as high as the Empire State Building, and I think it was 50 something. It'd be almost the distance from the Earth to the Moon, and that's just fascinating, that exponential progression of things. Doing one thing, knocking a domino over, and doing it and doing it and doing it, that compounding effect. So, kind of going back, Gary Keller, why did you pick Keller Williams Real Estate when you chose that as a career? And tell us how you got there. Was it easy? Because you're real smart and good in business, and everybody loves you.
Oh, Dave, what a great question. So, I switched careers. I was in a company. We took that company from losing money to making a lot of money. And then we sold the company for way more than we ever thought we could make. And then I woke up one day and I said, well, I've done that. Now what do I do?
And they gave you half of all of the rewards, I think, too, did they?
Well, the reward was taking something that everybody said was going to fail and losing money. And over the course of a few years, made more money than anybody dreamed of. We were in a company with 600 and some restaurants. We were at the bottom of that chain, losing money. And we went to earning millions and sold the company for millions. So then I woke up one day and go, what do I do now? What do I want to do with my life? My wife was selling real estate, said, come be a realtor. And I said, I'd be lower than a used car salesman, hated worse than a lawyer. Why would I want to do that? Then I met Gary Keller, and I got inspired by Gary, who had incredible passion, was surrounding himself with great people, but the company is all about training, constant training, giving you tools, giving you inspiration. We never have a day where we can't go to a class and learn something in this company. So we're always on Zoom, we're always in meetings, we're always getting fed. And that's what great leaders do. They inspire, they motivate, they coach, they mentor. And Gary's passion is finding great people. He's an amazing recruiter, but he goes out just like you and he interviews people. And then he wins them over and said, why don't you come work with me? And so we have a company of amazing people, successful people that don't need to work, but they want to be a part of something special. And so I wanted to do that, but I was scared to death. I was out of my element. Everything I'd ever done, I knew how to do. And I was at the top of my game and doing extremely well. And now in something I've never done. I don't know how to do it. I got scared. I didn't want any help. I was a bonehead. Said, I got this. So I went out and I knocked on 8,500 doors, introducing myself.
What did you do the next week?
Well, that took me 3 months. And I thought, I will have a deal and somebody will like me in 2 days. I got this. It was months and I never had a deal, nobody calling me, the phone not ringing. And I refused to quit. I said, I will not quit. I will do this 7 days a week until something happens. I was out in the rain. I was out in the snow. I was freezing. I'd get in my car, eat a sandwich, get warm, go out and knock on more doors. And some people thought I was nuts. They're like, you must be so desperate. And I kind of took a step back and go, am I desperate or just motivated or crazy? So I decided it was all three. But after about 3 months and 8,500 and some doors, my phone started to ring. And I realized that whole time I was planting seeds. And today, I make more money than I ever dreamed of. And I think it was because I watered, fertilized, and planted seeds, and they started growing. So whatever you're in, whatever lane, you just have to get focused and not get discouraged and just go do it and get in front of people. But I was scared to death. I was scared to death to go knock on a door to a stranger. And finally, I just decided, stop being afraid. What's the worst that can happen when you talk to a stranger and introduce yourself? And now I have amazing stories, funny stories, great stories, and great friends.
Well, I remember when you were fairly new in the business, how you saw this gated community and kind of made your way in there and knocked on the door. And how did you get in here? Tell us a few stories.
Well, this was a very affluent gated neighborhood out on the lake. And this guy's house had been for sale, but it hadn't sold. And I researched and I thought, you know what? I don't have anything going on. It's kind of cold. I'm going to go out and see if I can talk to this guy. So I found the gate code and I get in and I go up and I knock on the guy's door and he comes out and he goes, what are you doing here? This is a gated community. How did you get in here? I said, it wasn't hard. I jumped the gate. He said, you jumped the gate? So what are you doing here? I said, well, your house hasn't sold. I'm a realtor and I'd like to talk to you about getting your house sold. He says, you're either the dumbest, stupidest, most ignorant realtor in town, or you got gonads bigger than anybody in town. So what is it? And I said, well, Mr. Seavey, it's both. And he says, well, what makes you think you can sell my house? And so the wind's blowing and leaves are blowing and it's starting to rain. And I walked around his porch a couple of times and I said, I don't see any other realtors out here. Do you? Willing to take this crap from an old codger? And he started laughing and he said, you're right, you have both of those. I said, come in and meet my wife. So I went in and that event led to about $400,000 in income for me. He was very wealthy, owned several properties, and gave me referrals. I sold 3 beautiful homes for him. Ended up getting his Mercedes convertible in one of the deals because he liked me. And we're still friends, but here's the deal. he calls me one day and says, I'd like to take you to breakfast. Okay, we go. And he says, I need to apologize to you for how I treated you on my doorstep. So my apology is buying your breakfast. And we've been friends ever since. So that to me was just such a blessing. But had I not gotten my car and made something happen, who knows? But it was a game changer for me to find the courage to go talk to strangers. So, and I think that's life, Dave. We're all salespeople, whether we like it or not. The day we're born, we have to sell ourselves to somebody to get us food and take care of us. And we sell ourselves to a spouse. We sell ourselves to get a job. We sell ourselves to make any money. So we have to figure out how to be good salespeople. I mean, whether we like it or not, we're selling.
Well, it's the most fascinating thing, and we could all tell stories about that. Meeting my wife at a dance, just this idea that anytime you meet somebody, maybe not a lot will happen, but on the other hand, it could open up a whole new world, creating a whole new world. That possibility of encountering another person is just one of the most wonderful things. And looking back, I think in anyone's life, meeting someone, it could change absolutely everything. And then I think, well, what if you actually tried to live your life that way? What if you tried to go out and meet people, and increasing the law of averages, putting yourself in a position to win? And you did a little bit of homework, seeing that there was an unlisted nice home, and taking a crack at it, and then making yourself available, that a lot of people weren't willing to do. That's huge.
Right. And so I learned to overcome the fear and just enjoy introducing myself and learning to be me and learning to be natural and engaging people. And so our success today is building a database and staying in front of people, capturing people's names, capturing information about people. I have more friends than I ever dreamed of, because I start engaging and meeting amazing people. Everybody has a story, and everybody wants to tell you their story. And people want to do business with people they like. That's just how we are. We shop at a place we like people, even if it costs more. It's because we like people. We buy stuff from people we like. So I was coached in my big company that the CEO would say, if you were running for mayor in your business, around your business, or in town, what would your campaign look like? So he said, you always need to be running for mayor in your business. So what does that look like? And then every day should be the first day of your business. Sometimes we get tired, we don't do things like we would normally on our first day, but every day is your first day. So what does your business look like? If today was your first day, Dave, what are you going to do?
See the people.
Right, but you got to go make something happen. So
yeah, you're absolutely right.
The key to, I think, any success is taking action, even if it's wrong. Even if you're doing something wrong, but taking action is better than doing nothing. So even though my batting average might be low, going out and talking to people or introducing myself, you're not always going to win, but taking that action, something's going to happen.
Well, I think the powerful thing is, that old adage that which we persist in doing becomes easier. Not that the nature of the task is less difficult, but our ability increases. But then also doing it, it all of a sudden becomes an overwhelming number. If you do that one thing, that if you did that, lots of stuff would happen. And if you did it and by compounding it like the dominoes, all of a sudden, what you did was kind of just arithmetic at first. One door, for a few months, but then it was all building up to huge, enormous potential. That one of those people is, oh, he really was a pretty nice guy, and all of a sudden, I'm going to sell my house. They would call you because that was a person that you knew.
Exactly.
And that's just such a powerful thing that all along the way. When did you become a successful a realtor? It was when you, I guess, decided and then took action. Nothing happens, like you say, until action. And John Maxwell said something that stuck in my head that was it's easier to act your way into the right feeling than it is to feel your way into action. They're both work. Having that feeling helps action, but just act your way into it. Act and it just magic things happen.
Right. And I think, Dave, along the way, I learned, you have to love people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a passion for people and listen to them and be empathetic and have fun
Mm-hmm.
with people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned to do, is just have fun. And I will back up. When I grew up as a child in an orphanage and 33 foster homes, literally, I was the shyest, scaredest rabbit ever, afraid to talk to people. And when I look at my life today, I go, how did that happen? How did I get from this little scared kid to somebody that talks to everybody? But it was surrounding myself with people and mentors that coached me and helped me. And I said, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I remember the first time I got in an MLM and they said, you got to go talk to people. I literally vomited. That was such a hard thought, to actually go talk to strangers and introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, if I want to live this life different than the life I have, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's some of my favorite stuff. Jim Rohn talks about for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. And that's the thing I love in that environment with Keller Williams or our company, as that statement. And it's really true. It's kind of a fun way to look at it, but if you have that perspective, it's what it really is, that we're involved in a personal development company funded by product. And that's definitely what Gary Keller is interested in, is just people. He loves people and he trains them. And it's actually one of the largest MLMs because the structure, everything.
Yeah, probably one of the largest in the world. And one of
the largest real estate company, isn't it?
Yes, largest real estate company in the United States. And one of the things that Gary Keller preaches, coaches, mentors people is we need to work on ourselves to be worthy to have what we want. So think about that. And he tells a story about a guy that he's trying to find a wife. And he goes to this guru, and the guru says, well, what kind of wife do you want? And he gave a list of about 30 attributes. And the guru's looking at that list and he said, I want you to go make another list of what you have to be to have a woman like this. And the guy comes back with a list of all the things that he would have to change in his life to have this woman. And the guy said, okay, then go do all of these things on this list and then come back and talk to me. So 2 years later, he goes back and he had found this woman that matched all the things. And the guru said, that's because you changed. And so you have to change to have all those things. And Gary tells a story about how if we grow internally, we will be worthy of success. So reading books, getting mentored, being coached, taking care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, so that you're ready to accept success.
Absolutely. To attract, you need to be attractive. And if you're
Right.
recruiting good people, if you have that desire, then you need to be a good person. And
Right, but we're always working on ourselves.
mhm.
How do I become a better person? How do I do something better today than I did yesterday? So, and I love being around that environment of constant improvement,
Mhm.
and there's no finish line. So that's the scary part.
Yeah. So when are you going to retire?
Never.
Me too.
I can't imagine sitting in a rocker or not having something to sell somebody or a story to tell or engaging
Mhm.
with people
Mhm.
or my passion, mentoring, coaching, helping others. So not only do we work on ourselves, but I coach and mentor other people in our office. And I love being able to do that and share, just like you do, Dave.
Oh, it's the joy. Yeah. I love the idea that any business, whatever it is, it's really people, that if you don't understand people, you don't understand business. And kind of along that line that sticks in my mind is that God, he's in the people business. That's what it's all about. And so if we're serving other people, we can be his hands and feet. And I just really love seeing that experience where you can make a positive difference, go out about and do a lot of good. And if you can be involved in a business where you can just make the biggest difference to the largest number of people, that really gives you an abundant life.
I have a little sign on my computer. It says, "Be the light."
Mm.
And so be that light, be that joy in people's lives, and never let yourself be a Debbie Downer. And, the world's coming unglued around us. And I refuse to let that affect my emotions, my mental well-being, or say, how can I do this when everything around me is collapsing? I wake up and go, there's got to be an opportunity here.
That's why I look at it. The opportunity is when you find a problem. And right now we got some big problems, and just offering hope, a path to follow. That's such a wonderful thing, business wise. I went to the grocery store. In fact, the day we got talking, and the lady ahead of me, it wasn't a whole lot of stuff, but it was just kind of a reality check that she says, can you put 50 on this card and put the rest on this card? Just kind of a reminder of, wow. And I think it's going to get kind of scary. It just seems like bad people are, I don't know. It just kind of like, wow, do we really have to go through a reset? And we're kind of getting pushed into it. But I think if you can offer hope and a way out, myself, I just think one of the big battlefronts is health. And if we can keep people healthy, if we can offer them another gig, I think you have to have a gig now. Just that what prices have gone up this year, it's just it's scary. So yeah, we got to do something else on the side.
No, I agree. We have 300 plus agents in our office, and surprisingly, they're all looking for do I go drive Uber now because interest rates are going through the roof? And our world's getting a little crazy.
I wonder if it just
pivot.
Math wise, how many homes are listed in this area, and how many realtors are there? Just
There's 2,500 realtors and about 400 listings. So do the math. And in spite of that, I'm still successful, still doing things. But talking about a scary statistic, Dave, right now, 60% of the population is buying gas and groceries on credit cards. 60%, we've never had this high of credit card debt in the history of the United States. We're at right about $900 billion in credit card debt, just credit cards that people are carrying. 40% of those people are maxed out and will be in default by the end of the year.
This year, like next month?
Yes. According to the banks, I'm I work with a lot of banks and spend time with bankers, and they're really dialed in, and that's a huge concern. There's a record number of foreclosures happening on houses because of COVID, and that money stopped, and a record number of repossessions on automobiles. So these are little bubbles that are percolating, which there's going to be a shift, whether we like it or not. People are going to need some other form or way to supplement groceries and gas. So it's a great time to have something else to offer people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't want to be like a downer, but I go, okay, this is opportunity. This is opportunity to help people.
One of my favorite things about you is just building relationships. That's the fun and joy of life, and you can't have too many friends. And when you first started with Keller Williams, you told me you thought, well, okay, this is the best agency to go to. These guys are great. You bought in on Gary Keller, but also you went there and says, well, who's the best agent? And then you went and talked to them, and they told you to do something every day. That's the one thing, I guess.
Yeah,
this is good advice.
One of the things that I learned is study success. Study success. Why is this guy better at something than everybody else? So when I got in the business, I was like, looked up, who are all the top agents? Went to their websites, looked at what they were doing, and I called them, introduced myself and said, can I take you to lunch? I just want to interview you, kind of like what you're doing right here. And just ask them, what makes you successful? And I took notes, and it was amazing how open they were to wanting to help me and offer coaching, mentoring. The number one Century 21 agent in the world lives in Coeur d'Alene. I called, introduced myself. Who are you? Nobody. But I want to meet you. So he started laughing, and we went to lunch, and he said, I have been extremely successful and blessed, and I need to give back to people. And he said, I want to give back to you. I will not try to recruit you. I see some talent in you. I see drive. And anybody that's got the courage to call me and buy me lunch deserves my time. So for 2 years, he mentored and coached me, and we met every week. And he would ask me my numbers, what am I doing? And then tell me what I needed to do even more. And I can't thank him enough. And we're still friends. And he calls me and said, how much did you sell this week? Not enough. But he tracks me, follows me, and what a blessing. Kind of like you, Dave, you become my coach, my mentor, my inspiration. I look at you and I go, there's never a day he's not on the phone and he's calling people, or I'm with him and he's taking calls and talking to people. That's an inspiration. I mean, you built an empire on relationships and just staying in touch with people. Dave calls me randomly. How are you doing? Right. What are you trying to sell me? No, I just want to know how you're doing. So, yeah. So sometimes I block his calls. But I love being around motivated, inspired people and learning. And I think for all of us, we need to find a coach, find a mentor, or somebody that inspires us to be more. So, yeah.
Now, I think you have this challenge or assignment that to reach out to 5 people and just say thank you, send out cards, different things. Has that been a good thing? Probably just for you, feeling good on your heart to be mindful of these other people to to reach out to them, but to appreciate them.
So one of the things, Dave, in this world is we forget to touch people or get in touch or stay in touch. And I'm reminded of a commercial I saw years ago. The CEO calls in his sales team and he hands them each a plane ticket. And he said, we're going to go face to face and go talk to our clients. No more texting, no more emailing. Get in front of these people and let's actually have a conversation and get to know them. And that's always stuck with me. So in my business, every day I try to send 5 thank you notes. I send text messages, emails, or a mailer, or go out and talk to people. But every day I'm engaged in building my business by just interacting with people. But I get more comments or callbacks when I send a card with a personal note. I'll see an ad in the paper or something that somebody's done, their kid won, quarterback of the year or something. I'll send them a note. Congratulations. Amazing. I had a guy, he shot the biggest wolf ever. And there's a picture of him with a wolf, and people are freaked out that this guy kills a wolf. Well, I cut out the picture and write a letter. Congratulations on this great killing this monster wolf. The guy calls me and wants to buy me lunch. And now he's a client. Yeah. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, but just staying engaged, it's not complicated, but being persistent and being consistent, and being disciplined. It's one thing to do it randomly, but stay in that mode all the time, being engaged with people. That's what I learned to do.
Well, I know it's not just a manipulative, if I do this, then I'll get, it's not self-serving with you. And people can tell that. And there's just so many things where you've just gone way out of your way to serve and help people. And it's people can tell you really do care.
Well, I think people detect it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have sensors and we all know when somebody's real or fake. If you've ever been to a car lot,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be that guy or come from desperation. It's about serving people, about caring about people and being engaged and really wanting to know how they're doing. So, yeah. And people respond to that. People want to be loved and they want to be heard and listened to. Everybody's got a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think also just doing all of this kind of stuff and knowing and studying success. When you began real estate, I'm just thinking, okay, 8,000 plus doors. I think you did that because you knew you were going to break through because you'd been successful in other things, and everything is just learning what to do and doing it and doing it and doing it, and you don't know when it's going to actually happen, but it will. And so I don't think you had any doubt, and that's why you kept going. And I started all over just this May with our new company, and I just, okay, here I am starting over, but I know how to do all of this. Plus I've got a lot of friends, and I had no doubt that it was going to happen, and it is happening. And any comments on that?
Well, you just nailed it, Dave, because if you don't believe that you can, you never will. And you'll never rise higher than what you believe you can, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we'll interview a new agent coming into the business who's maybe only made $40,000 a year. And we'll say, what would you like to make? Some of them can't mentally see themselves making 6 figures. And so they never do. But the guy that believes he can always does. So, but getting people to believe that they can accomplish more or that they're worth more or can do more has to start up here. And you said, oh, I can do this. You believe in yourself, and that's where it starts. So if you don't believe you can win, you will never win. I mean, if you get on the field to an opposing team and you don't think you're going to win, what do you think your odds are?
Oh, you're not going to make it.
Right, not going to make it. So I love this story. This guy's telling me, you know, if I could put you on a soccer team and go out and play soccer, but there's no other opposition, there's no other players, but you can score unlimited goals, how long would you stay out there? If you could go to the casino and win every possible thing, how long would you stay?
Not too long.
Not too long. So we need opposition. We need resistance, or we will never play.
You have to have purpose.
Right.
And if you're just movement, I think that was probably the big punishment that was famous in prisons. Where you're going out there and busting rocks, and you knew you were working hard, but you also knew that it was of no purpose. And that really, in fact, I think it was you that told me about they were playing around with log.
Yeah. So one of the companies I worked with, always trying to do research. So hired this company that hired all these guys for $20 an hour to come out and cut logs. So they get all these guys signed up to come out. But the caveat was you had to use a sledgehammer to chop these logs. We don't care whether you chop one or what, we're just going to pay you $20 an hour to chop wood all day long, but you have to use a sledgehammer. By day one, everybody quit. So they did exit interviews, and the outcome of that was, why did you quit? We didn't care how much lumber you chopped. We were going to pay you $20 an hour no matter what. But back then, the average wage was maybe $8 an hour. These guys were getting 20, but they still quit. Why do you think they quit, Dave?
They didn't see any purpose.
Because they couldn't see any production.
Yeah, it wasn't going anywhere.
It wasn't going anywhere. They weren't getting results. And so they quit in spite of the money. So the lesson was people need to see results when they're engaged in something or know they're making a difference. Mm-hmm. So, and people want to be where they're making a difference, mm-hmm. where they're helping or creating and engaged in something that makes a difference. So our takeaway as a company was we always need to make people feel like they're making a difference and being part of something important, and we're changing the world. So, yeah, and that was an aha moment. No matter how much you pay people, if they're not making a difference, they don't stay. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, Desert Taft Benson said that happy is the man who has found his worship, wife, and work, and loves all three. And I heard that when I was younger, and I just said that's what I want. I want to have an abiding faith. I want to find the right wife, and I want to be in love with my job. And then I also got thinking, after I have a family, I think if we could instill that into all our kids, have them have an abiding faith, and help them learn to have loving relationships and have their family, and then just learn how to work and do that well. Anything else would be nice, but if you could give them just those three fundamental things, that what a legacy you could create with your kids or anyone else. And you never had a family. That's what you wanted. You've kind of got all of those things now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, excuse me, that was always a dream, that I would never do to my kids what happened to me. And I wanted to be the best dad in the world, and I wanted to give them everything that I didn't have. And I'll tell you a little story. So one of my kids struggling and always in trouble, and I'm just beside myself that I'm not a good dad, and I'm praying constantly, what do I have to do to fix this kid? How do I help him? What do I do? What do I do? And this went on for months. And one day I'm driving and I hear this voice in my head, stop trying to fix him, fix yourself. And I'm like, what? There's nothing wrong with me. But if you want to fix your child, fix yourself and be the best version of you, and he will respond to you being a better person. And I thought, wow, what a message. So that translated that if we work on ourselves and improve ourselves spiritually, mentally, physically, people watch.
Mhm.
And that has an impact on people. But we can't fix other people, but we can fix ourselves and inspire them. And that was a huge moment for me to say, work on me first before I try to fix everybody else.
Seems like that's pretty much everything is work on yourself. If you want to learn leadership, the hardest person you'll ever lead is yourself.
Yeah, and being disciplined and motivated and inspired, we that comes from within inside. And in this world today, it's easy to wake up and get discouraged.
Mhm.
So I need to be around people that can fuel that energy in me and get me motivated and help me to be competitive.
Yeah.
And not give up.
Yeah, I think also, these circumstances that we're in, that they're kind of scary. All of us, you get visiting very much and you think, there's something's off here. And it just brings to mind Mother Teresa saying something to the effect that, that I know God will never give me something that I'm not capable of doing. I just wish he didn't trust me so much. But I think right now, where we have all of these problems, well, that they all have opportunity. The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. But also just an opportunity for growth, not just a business opportunity, but be in a position where you can be the kind of person that can handle a bigger problem. And I think that's kind of what the purpose of life is not a picnic where there's no opposing teams down here. To learn to walk, you got to fall a lot of times. And so I think this moment on Earth is just an advanced school of accelerated learning right now, where we can really make a big difference. And my goodness, we need more good out there, people doing good. And so this is an opportunity to serve.
I read a book about a guy that said, when the greatest inventions came to America, when do you think that happened?
When there was problems.
When there were problems. During the Depression is when people had to think, people had to create. So people were working in their garages. People were thinking, how do I find a way out of this? And that created some of the most amazing technological inventions that we've ever seen during that period of time, like the radio, the television, different things, components to automobiles. But people were, because of adversity, waking up and going, I can't coast anymore. I have to think. And that was an aha moment for me. So even though all this stuff's happening around us, something amazing is going to happen.
Oh, this is a golden opportunity if you want to work.
Right. But this is when people start rethinking and pivoting and okay, how do we solve this? I want to be a part of that. Just like you are.
Yeah.
With what you're doing.
Oh, but
bringing answers to problems.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the final word. Anything you'd like to to say?
I always just say, count your blessings. No matter what's going on around you, look at the good, be the light, be of good cheer. I love that scripture.
Mhm,
Just be a pleasant person,
mhm.
be a joy to people. I just love making people laugh and smile and have fun. And at the end of the day, did I make a difference in somebody's life? So, yeah, just enjoy the ride.
Well, thanks for being my friend, and thanks for being you.
I always love that Dave tells me he loves me. There isn't a time that Dave Johnson doesn't say, I love you. And that is just music to my ears to hear that and have such a good friend.
Thank you. Well, we love you too.
I pushed end. Now what do I do? Does that automatically stop recording?
Let's see. Well, you have to do it 10 for all. Bye, everybody.